My grandmother. Now my grandmother was such a regal, in her own mind, lady, and I do mean lady, that when she came out with a couple of things, I'm still stunned to this day. So one time I would go visit my grandma, and she's in the kitchen just industriously doing something. I says, "Hey Grandma, what you doing?" She says, "I'm washing the shit off these eggs." And I'm going, "Oh, excuse me?" She says, "Well, yeah, that's what I'm doing. Sometimes you get eggs with stuff on them and you gotta wash them off." And I'm going, "That's incredible." So anyway, that was one incident that I'm still reeling from, and this is like 30, 40 years later. It left a huge pockmark in my mind. So the next thing that she came up with was a bunch of us school kids having no previous knowledge of what stuff meant would come up with stuff and keep repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating, because we thought it was like, wow, this is really cool, and only we know what this means, you know, like little kids do. So anyway, I'm sitting there, and my brother and I, who are always like picking each other like scabs way back in the old days. She did it, no he did it, no she did it, no he did it. And so anyway, one time, Grandma caught me going like this. And she says, "Stop that right now." And I says, "Why? What does it mean?" She says, "It means kiss my ass." And I'm going, Grandma, you come up with some stuff. I don't believe it. Grandma passed away a long time ago, but her humor remains, which also leads me to when my brother and I played full-time music. And we'd play New Year's Eve. We'd be out all night. And my grandma had moved down into my home with my daughter and I. And this was kind of an interesting situation. She had lost her breast through cancer. And she says, "Would you like to see my prostheses?" And I'm going, "No, I can believe I can pass on." Such a hoot. Anyway, she decided that, she says, "You go play music. Go out for your, your New Year's Eve music playing, and I'll take care of your daughter." So here's the little kid, about 3 years old, right? So I go play music. Well, I think we were playing the American Legion or something like that in Destin at the time. This is about 1,500 years ago. 17 miles from my house. And it gets to be, well, after we play music, they have a wonderful spread a meal and everything like that. And so they invited us to come and eat rather than pack up our equipment right away. So we went and we had a delicious buffet breakfast. And then we packed up our equipment, and I got home about 3 o'clock. And my grandmother's standing at the open door, all the lights on in the house. My daughter holding her hand, just holding her hand like this, at the age of 3, and I'm going, "What are you guys doing? It's 3 o'clock. She says, "Well, we were worried about you." I said, "You were worried about me? The short kid would have been asleep and never known that I was gone or come back or whatever." She says, "Well, I'm afraid I did a really bad thing." I said, "What did you do?" And she says, "Well, I called your brother several times." And I said, "Well, he was out playing music too. His band was playing, New Year's. My band was playing New Year's." And she says, "Well," and then I called the highway patrol. And I went, "You what? Excuse me?" She says, "You're going to have to call them and tell them that you're back safely." And I'm going, "Okay." So anyway, I called them, and I said, "Hi, this is Bekki Shanklin, and I hear somebody was worried about me." She says, and the little dispatcher says, "Yes, your grandmother has called several times. We are happy that you are home now, and thank you so much for letting us know, because we were about to send highway patrol and troopers and police or whatever to go and look the entire highway to make sure that you weren't upside down in a ditch somewhere." And I'm going, "Oh my God, thank you so much. Thank you so much." So anyway, I called my brother and I says, "Had an interesting evening?" He says, "Oh, for the love of God, are you home yet?" I said, "Yeah, I'm home." He says, "Could you put that woman to bed? Tell her I love her and don't call me here again." So I turned around and Grandma says, I think I need to go to bed now. I says, oh, that would be a really, really good idea. Don't ever do this again. This is what I do for a living. Next time, wait, there won't be a next time. Don't ever do this again. What an odd lady. But anyway, miss you, Grandma. We really do. Oh, more stories about Grandma. My dad and I, first of all, my dad decided to put Grandma in a travel trailer right outside his house. And so for 2 nights running, there was a band in Pensacola that needed a keyboard player and vocalist. So, or at least a vocalist, because I think the keyboard player stayed there. So Dad would drive me over, A, to get out of the house, B, because he loved to hear me sing, and C, he wanted the adventure because he knew we were going out to breakfast after we played each night. So we went over, we drove over. Pensacola's like from Fort Walton Beach about 60-something miles, you know, at like 3 o'clock in the morning. So anyway, the first night we went over, we ate, we had a ball, we came back, and we pulled into the little carport. Dad turns off the lights, and immediately Grandma's door opens. And she goes, Bob, you need to come here right away. And he says, what's going on, Mom? I think my furnace is going to explode. And so Dad goes in there, and she turned it like 8,000 degrees, and of course it never shut off. Thus, it never shut off. So she thought it was just going to build up and explode. He says, why is it turned up this far? She says, well, I thought it might get cold. So the next night we go back to Pensacola to finish, because it was a Friday night and a Saturday night, and this was the last night. So, and I was going to get paid, yay! So anyway, we went back, enjoyed the evening, had a great time making music. People danced, people laughed, people clapped, people gave tips. It was a wonderful night. So anyway, we packed up whatever equipment I brought over, and went out again to breakfast. And then we got back. Dad cut off the lights before we drove up very, very quietly into the carport, because her trailer was like right beside the carport. And so we snuck in the house, and we were there, and my mom was there, and she said, how'd it go? You know, because she was up waiting for us. And we said, hey, it was a pretty good time. We had a ball, had a great breakfast, and the door opens, and here's Grandma. And she goes, Bob, I fell down out there. And I kept calling, but nobody came. So I got up and came on into the house to find out what was going on. I love that woman, if nothing else for the comedy content of our lives together. Oh, shoot. Oh, there's so much more to come. I have so much more to tell you. Stay tuned.